Imagine fooling Adolf Hitler himself. Not just once, but again and again, until he believed your every word. Imagine feeding him lies so skillfully crafted that entire armies moved based on them. This isn't fiction. This is the real story of a man who never fired a bullet but changed the course of World War II with nothing more than his imagination and a web of lies. His name was Juan Pujol García, but history knows him by a more fitting name, Garbo, the spy who lied to Hitler and saved the world from tyranny. Born in Barcelona in 1912, Juan Pujol was not destined to be a hero. He was the son of a kind-hearted man who owned a small café. Juan grew up during turbulent times, witnessing political chaos and the rise of fascism and communism tearing his country apart. He fought briefly in the Spanish Civil War, but he hated extremism on both sides. He once said, "I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to make the world a little better." It's almost poetic, because his mission would one day do exactly that, in the most unexpected way imaginable. When World War II erupted, Pujol had no military background, no spy training, not even government contacts. Yet he felt a burning desire to fight evil, his way. He wanted to serve the Allies, but they ignored him completely. The British embassy in Madrid turned him down again and again. They thought he was delusional, a random Spaniard claiming he could spy on Hitler's war machine. But Pujol wasn't one to give up. If the British wouldn't hire him, he'd just have to hire himself. And so, in 1941, Juan Pujol walked into the office of the German Abwehr, the Nazi intelligence agency, and told them he was a loyal Spanish fascist who wanted to spy on Britain. The Germans were thrilled. They trained him, gave him secret codes, invisible ink, and funds to establish a spy network inside Britain. But here's the twist: Pujol never even set foot in Britain. Instead, he moved to Lisbon, Portugal, and built a fake spy empire from scratch, using nothing but travel guides, newspapers, and his imagination. Picture this: Pujol sitting in a dimly lit room, studying maps, British weather reports, and tourist brochures. He made up names, jobs, and entire personalities for a network of imaginary agents. He created 27 of them. One was a Welsh nationalist. Another was a Portuguese sailor. One was supposedly a clerk in the Ministry of Information. He even included a typist, a delivery boy, and an agent living near Glasgow. He sent long, detailed letters to the Germans describing troop movements, military morale, and political gossip, all completely fake but sprinkled with just enough truth to sound real. And the Germans? They believed every word. His code name in German intelligence was Arabelle. They paid him well, praised his accuracy, and demanded more. The reports were so convincing that Berlin sent his intelligence directly to the highest levels, sometimes to Hitler himself. Meanwhile, the British had no idea this man even existed. But eventually, British intelligence started noticing something strange. The Germans seemed to have detailed but oddly inaccurate information about Britain. Through intercepted radio messages, MI5 learned about an agent in London called Arabelle, who was feeding the Nazis a lot of nonsense disguised as gold. When they finally tracked him down, they couldn't believe it. A Spanish man, with no official backing, sitting in Lisbon, had single-handedly created one of the largest fake intelligence networks in the world, and the Germans were buying every bit of it. MI5 immediately realized how valuable he could be. They brought him to London under protection, and thus, Arabelle became Garbo, the newest recruit in Britain's top-secret double-cross system, where captured or volunteer German agents were turned into double agents for the Allies. From that moment on, Garbo's lies would become strategic masterpieces. His British handlers worked with him to carefully craft false reports that appeared real, always mixing truth with lies. For instance, during Operation Torch, the Allied invasion of North Africa, Garbo reported convoy details that were accurate but sent too late to matter. The Germans thought he was brilliant. They told him, "Your accuracy is unmatched. You are one of our best assets." Meanwhile, he was already working directly for Britain. Garbo quickly became the cornerstone of a massive deception network. His imaginary agent sent reports from all over Britain, from Scottish ports to London docks, each with their own handwriting, style, and even personality quirks. MI5 even helped him mail letters from different cities to make them look authentic. They created fake documents, receipts, and even background chatter on radio lines to make it all seem alive. It was like a spy movie, but this was real life. By 1943, the Allies were planning the biggest and riskiest military operation of the entire war, D-Day. To make it succeed, they needed the Germans to believe the invasion would happen somewhere else, not in Normandy. That deception became known as Operation Fortitude. Its goal was to convince Hitler that the Allies would attack the Pas de Calais, the narrowest point between England and France. If Hitler believed that, he would hold back reinforcements from Normandy long enough for the Allies to secure the beaches. Guess who became the centerpiece of this operation? Garbo. With his credibility now sky-high, Garbo began weaving his most dangerous and ambitious lie yet. He told Berlin that an enormous Allied force, supposedly led by General Patton, was gathering in southeast England, ready to strike at Calais. He described fake army divisions, fake supply depots, fake training exercises, and even fake letters from soldiers. The British built inflatable tanks, wooden planes, and dummy landing crafts along the coast to make the illusion visible from the air. Everything, absolutely everything, was built on Garbo's web of lies. And Hitler believed it. When the real invasion began in Normandy on June 6, 1944, Garbo immediately sent a message to his German handlers saying that the attack had started, but insisted it was only a diversion. The real invasion, he said, would come later at Calais. Berlin trusted him so deeply that they ordered key panzer divisions to stay put near Calais, waiting for an invasion that never came. By the time they realized the truth, it was too late. The Allies had secured the beachhead. The liberation of Europe had begun. Garbo's deception had worked flawlessly. In the months that followed, the Germans continued to rely on Garbo's reports. They even awarded him the Iron Cross, one of Nazi Germany's highest military honors, for his service to the Reich. Meanwhile, the British secretly decorated him with the MBE, a member of the Order of the British Empire, for his contribution to victory. It's one of history's greatest ironies. Garbo was the only man ever honored by both Hitler and the King of England for the same war, for opposite reasons. After the war, Garbo's story took an unexpected turn. He knew that if any surviving Nazi agents discovered his true allegiance, he'd be a dead man. So, with the help of MI5, he faked his own death. They spread the story that Juan Pujol had died of malaria in Angola in 1949. For decades, even his family believed it. In truth, he slipped quietly to Venezuela, changed his name, opened a small bookstore, and lived a simple, anonymous life. For almost 40 years, the world thought Garbo was gone forever. Then, in 1984, a British historian named Nigel West tracked him down. When West arrived in Venezuela and met the quiet, polite man in his 70s, he could hardly believe that this humble figure was the same man who fooled Hitler. Pujol was astonished anyone remembered him. "I only did what I thought was right," he said softly. That year, Garbo was brought to London and honored privately for his extraordinary contribution to the Allied victory. It was a reunion between a man and the history he had once shaped from the shadows. What makes Garbo's story so compelling isn't just the scale of his deception, it's the humanity behind it. Here was a man who hated violence but wanted to fight evil. A man who had no army, no resources, no official backing, but used creativity and courage to make the impossible possible. His battlefield wasn't made of trenches or tanks, it was made of words, letters, and faith. Imagine the nerves of steel it must have taken to maintain those lies. Every message, every fake report, carried the risk of exposure. One slip, one inconsistency, and the entire illusion could collapse. The Germans could have captured him, tortured him, executed him. Yet he never faltered. Garbo lived for years with two masters, Hitler on one end of the radio, and MI5 on the other, and not once did either side realize how deeply they were being played. Even when the war ended, Garbo refused to seek fame. He lived modestly, content that he had saved lives through deception. His family didn't even know his full story until after his rediscovery. In one of his last interviews, Garbo said, "War is a terrible thing. I fought it my way, with imagination instead of bullets. And maybe that's why his story still resonates. In a world obsessed with power, Garbo showed that intelligence, creativity, and courage can outsmart tyranny. He didn't just lie to Hitler, he outthought him. And in doing so, he changed the direction of history. Today, the story of Agent Garbo is studied by intelligence agencies worldwide. His tactics, how to build trust, mix truth with deception, control narratives, remain lessons for modern espionage. But for most of us, his legacy is simpler. He proved that one ordinary person, driven by conviction, can make an extraordinary difference. So the next time you think of D-Day, don't just imagine soldiers storming beaches under fire. Imagine a man sitting in a London basement, whispering into a radio, weaving a tapestry of lies so brilliant that it blinded one of the most feared dictators in history. That's the hidden heroism of Juan Pujol García, Garbo, the man who lied to Hitler, and in doing so, helped save the world. Thanks for watching. If this story amazed you, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves history, and subscribe for more hidden tales of courage, deception, and genius that shaped our world. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most powerful truth is hidden inside a perfect lie.